Orange Shirt is a day of a remembrance, a day to remember why this day was taken as a special day for us. Indeed, every day should be a special day. And today represents a little girl who went to residential school, albeit for a very short time. But in that short time, you know, she was so happy, like I was, like, generations before that, how happy I was to go to residential school. And yet, when I arrived there, my mother took us, my brother and I, and we lived next door to that school that we were to go to. And not knowing, I knew what the school was all about. I knew that I had to go, but there was never any talk from my parents to tell me what to expect. You see, my mother was the first generation. My mother was, in fact, it's her birthday tomorrow, 29. She'll be 120 years old up in heaven, and I'm sure she's looking down and cheering that at long last, truth, the real history is coming out. So I give all that I am and all that I've accomplished. That goes to my parents for the first 5 years of my life, and that was, today I am what I am because of those first 5 years. The next 10 years that I spent there, it was an indoctrination, an incarcerated period of time where we were forcibly taken from our loving homes. And mine was a very, very loving environment. I had my uncles and in my circle, my uncles, my aunts, and my grandparents just lived on the North Shore. They lived across the river. So I had all that environment, and we lived what I like to call the traditional lifestyle. And yet the school, that residential building, represented an era of a dark history that we are now just unraveling, unpacking. 90% of us who went through that school were somehow indoctrinated, were somehow brainwashed. But there was I had a hero in my life, and that hero was my dad, who absolutely insisted that we, his children, speak the language. And I say miigwech to my dad, who never went to, he was in residential school, I believe, for 6 months or something like that. He walked out and never went back. He used the gifts that he had as a traditional person. He was as good as any white man that he worked with at that paper mill that has destroyed our community. And that's a long story. But as years went by, the government finally said, yes, we did that. 150 years of stolen children were jam-packed in those terrible buildings that we had to call home for 10 months out of a year. Many of us, you know, never went home again. I consider myself one of the lucky ones, having survived that and having supportive circle of Indigenous, of people out there, and that truth is out there, and so it just gives me such a time of revelation, a time of resurgence, a time of, you know, where we can openly talk about it. And here I am, you know, in a public school division that is accessible to all peoples. And I am telling my story. So it gives me such, and I'm so proud to be wearing this shirt, this orange shirt, thanks to that little girl